Welcome back, everyone, to Lesser Known Operators. I'm your host, Nicholas Allen, and my guest today is Brandon Haye, a Green Beret from 1st Special Forces Group, also known as Damaging Doc 18 on Instagram. He is a father, veteran, husband, gamer, and connoisseur of smoked meats. I will have links to his socials in the show description. Today's episode is brought to you by Precision Wellness Group. Precision Wellness Group can help you restore balance, unlock vitality through bioidentical hormone therapy and evidence-based, personalized telemedicine. The founder and medical director of Precision Wellness Group is Dr. Taylor Bosley, who is an emergency medicine physician, a U.S. Army veteran, and a Green Beret. I know there's a lot of information out there about hormone replacement therapy, testosterone replacement therapy, HRT, TRT. If you're confused and you want to get real answers from someone who knows what you've been through and knows where you need to get to, get a hold of Taylor Bosley and the team at Precision Wellness Group. He's got the shared background to help you. He understands where you've been and what you need to feel your best. Reach out to Dr. Taylor Bosley at Precision Wellness Group. I will have links to their socials and website in the show description. I do appreciate you guys. Please remember to like, subscribe, share, comment, pass these episodes along. Thank you for listening and enjoy the show. Brendan Haye, welcome to Lesser Known Operators. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me.
This is an unexpected sign up because you made a comment on YouTube and I fired right back, well, do you want to come on the show? With no vetting or anything. I just assumed by the comment that you made that you were good to go, and then your LinkedIn was able to back up the rest of it. So I appreciate you making that comment.
Yeah, no worries. That was weird connection.
Yeah, Christian's video, right? You said you were on the team when they came up with that logo.
Yeah, so the logo, actually, I have that logo right there. Yeah, we got that made in 2008 in the Philippines. We'd had an old like pirate flag or something before, and we wanted to change. Been on the team forever, and we wanted to change it up. And I think it was my Bravo at the time, because we were doing split team. It was my junior Bravo. He came up with that, and it just stuck, you know. And so when I was flipping through the reels and I saw that flag behind him, I was like, wait a minute, I know that.
Algorithm, it's weird who it shows stuff to. And I was just telling you before, I feel good when I beat it, you know, and I get somebody, I'm like, yes.
Nailed it.
I was looking at my viewership. I have 2 streams in Ukraine. So I made the joke that we're blowing up in Ukraine. Terrible joke.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of things blowing up over there.
That's fucking, I'm good in my basement here. No, but I was flipping through your Instagram. So you're streaming video games?
Yeah.
How does it feel to get roasted by children all day long?
You know, you get used to it after a while, because I'm not good. I'm old, so I'm not competitive in those lines of work anymore. But I have actually. It's funny you say that, because God, I've been doing it for about 8 years now. It's a glorified hobby. You know, I come home after the kids go to bed. I just come down and play video games. So I'm like, why not make a little money on it, right? So I'll stream to Twitch or whatever. And I had one kid come in. I think I was playing Minecraft or something, just nothing. And this kid read my bio and he's like, oh, you're a veteran. Oh, he was no, actually, this I say kid, but he was in the military at the time. He goes, oh, you're a veteran. I'm like, yeah. He goes, oh, what's your MLS? And I told him, you know, 18 Echo. And he goes, there's no way a special forces guy is going to play video games. I'm like, bro, do you know us? Like, especially Echoes. We're a bunch of nerds. I'm not going to lie. I mean, most Echoes I know are just a bunch of nerds. So
isn't it strange? You weren't in the regular Army, but when I'm at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, which is like, you know, in the middle of fucking nowhere, and then very far from the flagpole, even though it's closer than some other bases. But very few people go from Fort Sill to Fort Bragg to become Green Berets. So all that anybody knew around me was all this legend, like rumors and ghosts. Like somebody had gone to selection 2 hallways over, and then they disappeared, and then they became a Green Beret, and nobody ever saw them again. And so you'll meet somebody, you know, you're streaming, like some of my buddies, they would just leave group and they would go play Counter-Strike, or they'd go play video games all night long and sit there and get
World of
drunk and yell at the
Warcraft was a
screen.
big one.
World of Warcraft. We were in
Yeah.
Korea. My buddy played Elder Scrolls in all of his free time. That's all. Like, that's it.
I mean, it's just a good way to decompress and just, forget about all the bullshit that's going on,
Yeah, just because
And
we're high achievers or at this doesn't mean we don't like stuff that's challenging.
yeah.
Fucking Elon Musk's the #1 fucking Diablo player in the world. That guy looks busy, you know?
Seems to be, yeah. No, that guy cracks me up for sure.
What's your game of choice?
I'm not really stuck on one game. I do a lot of like the survival type games, like the open world. Go out and build shit and try to survive and just not die. 'Cause, I played the first person shooter games like Call of Duty and stuff like that, and they're fun. I have fun with them, but I'm like I said, I'm not competitive in them at all. Because real world does not translate to video games. So
You sure?
yeah,
Come on.
it's funny how that works, isn't it?
Maybe some in airsoft or the whatever that
Right.
yeah, airsoft or paintball gun, but not really online. If you don't
No.
start when you're 6, there's no catching up.
Right. And when I was 6, it was duck hunt and things like that. So
Good old days.
yeah, I think back when video games were good.
Um, how old were you when you joined, man?
I was 24 actually. So I almost joined the military right out of high school. My parents talked me out of it because I had a couple buddies join the Navy, and I was like, my dad was in the Navy, I'm going Navy, let's do that. And both my mom and my dad talked me out of it. They said, hey, go to college, get your degree, figure out something to do with your life. And then if you still want to go, then, do it, but try to get that degree first. And I was like, okay, whatever. I ended up getting a pretty good scholarship to the University of Washington, got in there, finished up my degree. While I was my junior year of college, 9/11 happened. And I remember I finished college in 02, graduated, and then I got a job downtown Seattle. And it was just kind of a no-name. It wasn't really a no-name job, but I was working for a hard money lending company, which is basically legal loan sharks. They were charging multi-million-dollar loans, charging people 15-20% interest, and then paying out investors. And it was, it was a rough job. I was it was a small family-owned business, but it was rough. And then I just remember
What was
sitting
your
there.
degree in? What was your degree
Political
in?
science.
Political science, and now
Yeah.
you're basically stealing from people.
Yes. And it was one of those, and the way I got that job was wild. I was in between jobs because I was working for a restaurant while I was in college, and then I ended up getting let go there because I was late one day, and my manager we didn't get along. We didn't see eye on a lot of things, so he put me on like a 2-week leave, and I just get put in my 2 weeks notice. And so my best friend at the time had a good job, had an interview at this company, and was like, look, I don't need this job. Why don't you go in my stead? And I was like, does that work? And he's like, yeah, I'll call him, let him know you're going to come here and you're more than qualified. And I was like, okay. So I just showed up to this interview not knowing what I was getting into. And turns out I got hired. And yeah, it was just a weird turn of events. And that's actually where, met my first wife and everything and stuff like that. Well, then I was sitting there, I'm just like, man, this job sucks. Like, this job is not fun. I had a cool office. I was downtown Seattle and one of those in the second tallest building in Seattle on the second to last floor overlooking Puget Sound. Beautiful view every day. I got to watch all that and see the Olympics and all that, but just hated my life. And so I started talking to recruiters. I went to one of those, all-in-one recruiting stations, had all the different branches. And that's how I ended up, coming in on the Army as my kind of final choice because they were really the only ones that could guarantee a contract. Like, it felt like all the other branches, the Marine recruiter I talked to wanted me to be a mechanic. And that's all he was a mechanic. So he was only recruiting mechanics. And I was like, I don't want to do that. Navy, I didn't have a huge interest now at this point, 5 years removed from high school. I didn't have a huge interest in the Navy anymore because I didn't really want to be stuck on a boat that long. That didn't sound fun to me. Air Force didn't want me because my grades weren't good enough in college, and they wouldn't bring me in enlisted with a degree. They said they would only bring me in as an officer. And my grades were too low to really do anything, and they were just like, whatever, we're better than you, and we know it. So, and so I went to the Army, and I went in there actually looking at a Ranger contract. Getting the what was it, 11 X-ray, I think it was, for the Ranger contract. And as I'm talking to the recruiter about it, the captain comes out and he's like, whoa, 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 we got this new program. It's 18 X-ray. You go into Special Forces right off the street. I'm like, well, isn't that a Ranger? Like, what's the Special Forces?
Yeah, same thing. Same thing.
Yeah, same thing, right?
Same thing.
I didn't know what the fuck. I didn't know what I was getting into, And so the recruiter's trying to explain it to me. I mean, he's a leg. He's never even been to airborne school, and like, so he's trying to explain it to me, and he's like, well, have you ever seen the movie The Green Berets with John Wayne? I'm like, nah. He's like, what about Rambo? I was like, yeah, I've seen Rambo. And he goes, well, he was a Green Beret, but it's not like that. Okay,
So that was helpful.
Nothing.
That was helpful.
Yeah. So he basically printed out a sheet of what the Q course courses were and was like, this is what it is. I showed up. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. The only thing that I did know is that at any point I failed, I became needs of the Army Infantry. If I failed out of the Q course at all, I just became needs of the Army Infantry, and that didn't sound fun to me. So, so I, signed the dotted line and went through MEPS and passed got my security clearance and all that stuff. And I was the first person in that recruiting station to get past that point, and they didn't know what to do with me. So,
okay,
yeah,
it's funny. There's a disproportionate number of people that went to SOPC from 2003 to 2008 ish that come on this show.
Really?
So you're another one that fall in there with 22. So you're in around 40 episodes. I think I've had like 8 people on that all were there in the same years.
Back when it was hard.
Huh?
The last hard class.
Now my listeners, they know exactly what we're talking about. You guys were fucking brutalized, and hardcore. And that's funny. Like the recruiter's trying to sell it to you and has no idea what he's getting you into at all.
Yeah. No, yeah. And I mean, SOPC, yeah, that was a whole different beast there. Cause me and like, when we got to basic training, you go to the 30th AG or whatever it is. I don't know what it was for you, but for infantry, it was 30th AG at Fort Benning. And I showed up at like 11 o'clock at night, got off the bus, never been to Georgia before, never been to the South before. I grew up in Washington, so the South was a whole new beast, and it was January and it was cold, and I did not expect that. And I remember getting in there, and I'm sure you know who Tim Kennedy is, yes? You know the name?
I do.
Yeah. So he and I went through the whole course together. But I walk into the bathroom, and there's this dude, this yoked guy standing there brushing his teeth. And I'm like, fuck, I'm stuck with this meathead. Like, who the hell is this? And turned out, super nice guy, still good friends to this day. And, but I just remember him. And then there was another guy, that, was there with us as well. And they just basically, I got into the wrong bunk. I got into the wrong section in the bunk room, right? Like I was not where I didn't fit in where I was at. And it was very apparent that I shouldn't be there. And they were both just like, hey man, we got an extra bunk over here. Come over here. So, so I moved over there with them, and there was like 6 of us in that basic training class that ended up going, we were a week behind this just massive X-ray group. So we started basic training a week after a whole company of 18 X-rays did. So our company was 11 of us, or I think it was 11 of us. That's right. It was 11 of us in our company, and we were all in the same platoon. And so we just were trailing this massive group of X-rays. And when we got to SOPC, they had already started a SOPC class. And so we're sitting there in kind of a holdover status until they start the next class. And all these dudes are just failing out or getting hurt and just recycling. And it's like, we're watching because we were in the holdover bay, and we're in those old 82nd Airborne, in the 82nd area, those old World War II buildings, the asbestos filled, condemned, burned down in 5-minute buildings. And we were over there in those, and it just filling up with dudes just getting hurt and recycling. I'm like, oh my god, what is happening right now? But what we didn't know was going to happen is that they weren't going to run a SOPC class that summer. They, because of HECAT, they didn't run a class in the summer. They waited until August. So from May until August, we were just cannon fodder for these cadre, and because they had nothing better to do, and they just beat the living shit out of us. Not physically, but every morning was a run. And the cadre there were fresh off of Afghanistan. They were all triple nickel dudes that didn't want to be there. And the senior NCO, he was a 10th group dude, and that man will give me nightmares. That man was a machine. Like, he would come in, and if you knew he was coming to do PT, you were going to have a bad day. And I think the worst day we had, I'm sure you've heard of the gig pits.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So the worst day we had was probably a solid 8-hour day of put your uniform on, go in the gig pits, low crawl through the barracks, rinse and repeat. And if you didn't have all the right uniforms, because I think you're supposed to have like 4 uniforms, sterile uniforms, whatever. If you didn't have all 4, guess what you're putting on? Your Class A's. And they were, oh my god, it was such a bad day. And then, we're done. Barracks inspection at 06, and a uniform inspection at 06. And so we split, and half the group went to into Spring Lake to some just hole in the wall laundromat, cleaned everything, while the other group stayed there and mopped and waxed the floors and did all that. And we got it the next day. But my god, that was a bad day.
What were you thinking during all of this? Like, maybe I should have been an officer.
No, at that point, no. No, because I had actually, you say that because my ex-wife, when I was in basic training, we weren't married yet, but she was good friends with, her family was friends with, he was one of the senior dudes at West Point, one of the senior teachers at West Point. And he actually had written me a letter of recommendation, because at one point in basic, I was kind of like, maybe I should get commissioned first. Maybe I should do this route if I'm going to retire. Because I hadn't decided yet if I was going to do the 20 years or not. And so he actually wrote me a letter of recommendation. I'm glad I didn't take it. I'm glad I didn't go that route, looking back now. But there was a point prior to all that I was like, maybe. But at that point, no, it was really just waking up the next day and hoping you could keep going. Just do it again.
That's fucking terrible. You get there and then, there's not a class for 3 months.
Yeah.
So,
but it was a 3-month class. It was just because it wasn't labeled a class. It was a class. We were out doing land nav. Which worked out great. By the time we got to selection, I was in an all 18 X-ray selection. I don't know if you ever heard about that one.
I've never heard about it, because when I was coming from the regular, they wouldn't, when this was in 11 or 12, the first class back was in September. So they had a 2-month break. So command does a whole lot of weird stuff,
that's
from
reinvent the wheel every 6 months.
Where you were, the guy I was talking to last night, he said they were really messing with the course when I was there in 13 and 14. And then in 16, 17, it started to even out. And now they've got it kind of where they want it to be. But then command will change and they'll change it again. But during all those years, they were fiddling with everything, just to fill the slots.
So when I was there, it was supposed to be, so at that point in time, selection was 28 days. And they were trying to shrink it down so they could get more people through, because they, you can't mass produce soft, but that's what they were doing. They were trying to get as many people through as they could. So what they did is they shoved us in between 2 normal classes, and it was all 18 X-rays. And come to find out, some MARSOC dudes. We didn't know that at the time. but I ran into one later downrange, and he was like, "Yeah, I went through you guys' selection, and it was the same class." I was like, "Oh shit, all right." So it was the guys that were starting up the Marsoc pipeline when they did
Oh,
that.
okay. Oh, I never heard that either.
Yeah, but we didn't have a single person quit. Not one person quit selection. We had people not make it, psych evals, just non-selects, things like that, injuries, but not one person quit.
I imagine. Yeah, because everybody that's come on has said it's kind of not easy, but it's like a vacation compared to SOPC because there's nobody actively trying to kill you. They
Right.
just
To
tell you
murder
what
you.
you have to accomplish, and then you go do it.
Mhm.
Instead of, if you don't do this, you're gonna fucking die. You're gonna wish you were dead. So
Oh man, God, yeah, one of the cadre. What was his name? Sergeant Terry. I don't think it was his first name or last name, but Sergeant Terry is what he went by. And I remember at one point we are getting ready to swim out at some lake out there in one of the
Mott
training
Lake,
areas. What's that?
Mott Lake.
Yeah, it must have been Mott Lake. Yeah, and we're standing by this dock, and he just gives this just fire and brimstone. Like, I mean, oh my god, just the speech that he gave, would have put Braveheart to shame. Like it was, and people quit. So that SOPC class had 300 something people start, and when we went to selection, we only had 110ish that went. So and that was when they could still kick people out of SOPC. They couldn't do that a few years later. Someone's kid got butt hurt and told his daddy, and daddy put a stop to that.
Hmm.
So
What do you mean kick people out? Like just
so
drop them?
they would drop them from the course in SOPC, and then the complaint became, well, it's a preparation course. It's not a selection course. So everybody ended up just getting shoved to selection, and then the selection committee had to, do the dirty work. So
That is a good point. It is. It's in the name. Maybe that's why they changed the name
yeah,
a few years later. It's called something different now, but I think different acronym.
gotcha.
Some officer
No
needed
longer
another
special
NCO or
operations
bullet.
preparation and conditioning.
Do you know at this point what you're getting yourself into, or you just like, the fucking everybody turned me down, and then the recruiter sold me on this, so this is the path I'm going? Do you have any idea what?
Not a clue.
Nothing.
Which was real fun. 'Cause like I said, I was 23 at the time. I turned 24 right after I joined. Wait, 2004. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I turned 23 right after I joined, or 24, excuse me. And so I went home for my birthday right after I'd signed the papers, and I'm having dinner with my folks and and mind you, we just had invaded Iraq for the second time in 10 years or whatever it was, and it's all over the news, and I hadn't told my folks that I was even thinking about doing it. So I just sit down with this packet of paper and I'm joining the army. Mind blown. My mom freaked out. She ran out, walked off crying. My sister got up. She's 9 years younger than me, so she was little at the time, and she got up crying. So my dad and I are sitting at the table, all kind of quiet, and he just kind of looks at me and he's like, "You might die, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "You might have to kill someone, right?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "All right." He goes, "I'm not super happy about it, but I'm proud of you." I was like, "All right." So, and mom came around over the years. She came around and everything, but it was, yeah, it was definitely a bit of a shock. And then I had to explain to him what I was going to be doing, and I didn't know how to explain it. I've got the sheet of paper that says, "Well, it's a pipeline," and I don't. What's a pipeline? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm going to be doing these. Well, what's that? I don't know. So
And especially that time, X-ray programs new. Um, you're with only X-rays, so it's all this legend, like passed down rumors from classes or the cadre. You know, at one point you probably thought like, is this going to happen when we get our beret? Like, is this like real life?
right.
Like, all they do
Oh,
is smoke the shit out of us, like all the time. Or is this going to be how it is when we get to a team?
yeah. Yeah, and then and that's how it felt. And like I said, the senior NCO there at the SOPS committee, Sergeant Jensen, like I said, 10th group dude, and I know guys from my SOPSI class that ended up on his team that when he walked through that team room door about shit their pants. And turned out he's one of the nicest guys there is. Like he was just very, when it came to X-rays, because I think his mentality was these guys are going to be on my team. I want to make sure they're trained to the best of their ability, and they did a great job of that. It was painful and it was a big learning curve, because obviously most of us, there were some National Guard dudes that may have had some other time elsewhere, but for the most part, we were all SF babies, right? We didn't know what the hell we were getting into. This was the Army. Yeah.
Well, the SF baby was before you guys. There was a gap with the Rep 63, which was, and then that was before. I
Right.
think that's what they refer to SS babies. And the joke on the show is, 18 X-rays. Nobody likes 18 X-rays except for 18 X-rays.
True.
And you guys
It's
are in
trauma
that.
bonding.
And now it's overwhelming amount of them in the fourth. So it's actually the majority. I think it's the majority or something
Is
like
it
that.
really?
But I'd have to check on that. Those are for listening at home. I make up most of the statistics on this show right off the bat, so don't quote me on too much. Don't take me too seriously. So, did you have any idea of what was going to happen to? Because you knew needs of the Army, but did you know what was going to happen if you quit or if you failed? And was that any
I
factor in your
mean,
mind, or were you
only
just hanging on for dear life?
little of both, little column A, little column B. We knew that the 82nd quit taking dudes because we had so many people quit and go to the 82nd. They're like, we can't take any more guys. And so then it's like, well, then where do they go? Is it going to be
Alaska?
like exactly Alaska, Korea, like all these places that people don't really want to go. And um, there was a couple moments where I thought I was not going to make it, in the sense of I was going to get kicked out for doing dumb shit. Um, so uh,
We, everybody at the course at some point, and I would say that number probably goes to 100% if you drink. Everybody in the course at some point was this close to getting
yeah,
kicked out had they just made a wrong turn or decision, and they were this close. So that's
I
not
had
atypical.
no, I had two though. One of them was our first day of land nav in SOPC. Me and my battle buddy there, we sat down too close to a road at night because, which was my fault because he had been heat cat all day. Like he was going down. We didn't make all our points during the day, so the night iteration we actually crushed it. And I was like, hey, we got like 3 hours till we need to be back at index. Let's just sit down and take a break so you can recover. And we did that. What we didn't see was a little goat path that was like 10 feet away that the cadre rolled up on their fucking MVGs with their and saw our rucks, and then made us run the 3 miles back to the base camp and proceeded to smoke the shit out of us for like 4 hours,
Mm.
trying to make us quit. I mean, to the
I
point
love
where they
heartwarming stories like that.
oh yeah. I mean, they were standing up there with the what is it, the honor code that you had to sign and all that stuff, reading it verbatim, and cut us our own log for PT, personal log PT. That was fun. Um,
Two-person log?
no, one person log. Yeah, but it should have been a 2-person log, but it was a 1-person log. And the holdover that got the chainsaw running because it wasn't running when they tried to start it, and it was a guy that was on a holdover from the previous class. Was like, oh, I'll fix it, Sergeant. He goes over there and tinkers,
Fuck
fires
you,
it up.
dude.
Oh,
Thanks,
dude.
dickhead.
Well, guess who went to selection with us? He didn't make it. Um. So yeah, but there was that time, and then when I was in max gain for the 18 Echo course, I got an Article 15 for taking my cell phone out in the field with me.
Mm.
And not telling
Mm.
anybody. We weren't supposed to take it out in the field. This was 05, early 05. And I was having some issues with the wife, so I took it out. I was just checking voicemails once a day kind of thing. And had I gone to the first time, been like, hey, first time, I have this.
Probably
He
fine.
probably would have let me. But I tried to
Yeah.
sneak it, and they brought Sade out there with sniffers, and of course they found him immediately. Me and like 3 other dudes, and we all got Article 15s, in front center in front of the student company first sergeant. And that dude was this little Puerto Rican man, and he was angry. I mean, just in general, just an angry man. And the only thing that saved us was the first sergeant at the Echo committee. He pulled a lot of strings and had us out there for our extra duty. We basically missed our Robin Sage and had to go to the next one. So we just spent a course out the whole next Echo phase. We were out there doing extra duty, which ended up being kind of cool because they didn't treat us like we were in trouble. We had to do work, we had to rake leaves and stuff like that, just do minuscule shit around there. But during the downtime, like we just got to bullshit with Green Berets, and we weren't Green Berets yet. We were nobodies, and they talked to us like normal people, and a couple of like old Vietnam CAG vets and like dudes with stories, and it was like holy shit. Like it turned out to be kind of cool.
Yeah, that's interesting, right? Because no extra duty on the regular army fucking blows.
Yeah,
It's terrible. So I- it, it's just another reason. Like generally, every bad, even the bad days in regiment or near regiment are still better than kind of just schlepping it and kind of coasting through in the regular army. Not everybody. I'm not lumping everybody in. If you got any hate mail, hit me up in the comments. You can be on my show. But um, isn't it interesting, right? Because it's just generally the same no matter who I talked to. We had no idea what we were getting ourselves into. And I was coming from an army with resources and people, and 2 weeks in hell. And even that turned out to be not what we were, that was fucking useless. It was just like, oh, that looks like it sucks. I'm going to go do that. But everybody going through the course really no, unless they're prior service or officers seem to have an idea because they all had this fucking circle jerk telling each other what's going on. Um, but none of the enlisted guys are like, we get to group and it's completely different from what we thought. Isn't that crazy? And then people think we're like this super soldier or all this other shit. We're like, no, we just heard it was hard and we went and fucking did it. And then you already thought you were that guy, but then you just became more of that guy. This isn't interesting that how the perspective everybody thinks it's this one thing. And it's like, no, it's just some like as you said, we're just some fucking nerds, or strong dudes that want to do hard things,
stubborn,
rite of
I think, is a
passage.
big thing.
Yeah, refuse to quit, to
Yeah,
handle a lot of pain, like a lot of pain.
more
You
than we
know,
should.
down pilot. There's no point in that other than
No.
pain, just to try and
Yeah,
make you quit. But everybody should do those sorts of things to prove to themselves that they can do it. It's so fucking difficult to not quit, to not just go, I'm fucking done.
absolutely. And I mean,
Did you
I
ever
mean,
have any? Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I mean, I'm sure you've had it where people find out what you did and like, oh man, I was gonna go, or I went and didn't make it. It's like good. I mean,
At
I'm
least you
not.
went.
Yeah,
I
you
try
know.
not to. I try not to diminish anybody's stories, even if they're, because I know a lot of people went just to get out of their unit for 3 weeks, or they just went to say they went. But if you tell me, yeah, I went, I didn't make it, fuck yeah,
Yeah,
that is
absolutely.
1,000 times better than saying I was gonna go or I
Right.
didn't,
100%.
I didn't get to go or I didn't. And that goes for anything in life. Like just fucking try it. Trying and failing is going to be so much more rewarding than not trying at all.
Right. Absolutely.
And then it might turn out to be a really cool thing. You might fucking hate it. You might get in the land nav and be crying in a fucking bush with a banana spider on your face and just going, I don't think this is for me. And at least you know
I,
that I can't do this.
yeah. The banana spiders, man. Oh, I. You ever hear a grown man scream like a little girl? I have one of those run across your face in the middle of the night.
Oh, I made a reel about it the other day, and people were like, yep, that's real life right there.
it, God, that was the worst. And the crying in the bush. The only time I got lost in land nav was my first night of the start, or yeah, first star. I passed first night barely, by like 10 minutes.
He still passed.
I did, and I got lost on my first stretch. I was a dumbass, and I drew a line across the draw I didn't see, and so I knew I was supposed to cross a creek, but I ended up crossing this creek like 5 times, and I'm like, I have no idea where the fuck I'm at, and was so mad. And so I was like, finally, I'm just gonna deadhead to this hardball. I'm gonna I'm gonna do this, that, and the other, and I'll reconnoiter here. Well, I finally start moving out because I clear out of this draw, and I tomahawk chop a log with my shin. Rucksack hits me in the back of the head as I fall, and I just roll over and just as loud as I could. And as I'm laying there, eyes to the sky, I can see a green chem light about 100 meters that way through the bush. And I get there, and it's this little Russian or some little lady there, and she's like, "Sounds like you have problems." I'm like, "Yeah, your point sucks." I'm like, "God damn." And yeah, then of course, as soon as I redrew my line to the next one, I realized what I'd done, and it took me 10 minutes to get out of there. But I was so mad.
it's a humbling experience, and because you're standing in formation, everybody passes gate week, you know, get some fit dudes, some fit people all standing there, and then you go out to land nav and you walk past a bush in the middle of the night, and that bush is crying, and you go, "Fuck that guy! I got shit to do." I made the mistake. I said, in the movie The Village, I fucking watched that before we went out to selection. That was a
Jeez.
fucking terrible idea
Yeah.
because I'd never done land nav in the dark before. And there's fucking, that those woods out there. There's hillbillies out there. There's people that live out there.
Dogs.
There's dog, and then there's students that are lost from 4 classes ago that they never found that just become feral, and everything's making noise and following you around. And then there's cadre out there with NVGs, and you walk
Yeah.
up to a tree,
It
and
moves.
they go that way, candidate. What the fuck?
Yep. Someone peed my pants. Yeah, no. And yeah, that was 100%. And I mean, and all the people that live around there too know exactly who you are. You're running around like a dummy with an orange reflective vest on your back, and the guys that try to run the hardball, running down, like you're not gonna get seen. Like, come on, man. Just I guess they say if you're not cheating, you're not trying, but at some point, like, you got to be smart about your cheating.
Well, there's cheating, and then there's the cadre will tell you something, and if you're willing to accept the consequences that they've told you, if you do this, this is the punishment. That's not cheating. That's just paying the price to do the one thing, because the cadre gave you the option. Hey, you can run the road, but we're gonna smoke the shit out of you. Hey guys, fuck, if we run the road, if we don't get caught, we're gonna get there an hour and a half early. Or if we do get caught, what are they gonna smoke us for like half an hour? Like, so we were in the Charlotte, and this guy was like, didn't want to. They made the decision to run the road. We got caught, but the cadre didn't really have anything to give us. He gave us like some dummies and some 155 rounds, and he's like, carry these until you get back to the pickup truck. It was like a mile, and then we threw him in the truck, and dude takes off, and we all kind of look at each other. We're like, you think there's another cadre out here? And then they made the decision when he ran back down the road, and that was the price to pay.
Right.
Whereas it's not like honor code violation. The cadre told us, if you do this, this is going to happen. You're
Yeah.
not going to get dropped. It's not. So it's all interpreted. That's like a weird gray area. And if you disagree with me, hit me up in the comments. I don't know, but there's ethical, and then there's, hey man, I'm in the gray area here. So it is interesting.
Yep.
But
Absolutely.
making the right decision, like, you should have just told that first sergeant that, and he probably would have understood.
And that's what he said too. He's like, "Hey, if you just told me, I probably would let you have it." Like, well, I
I
was
only
a 24-year-old dummy. I thought I knew better than you.
I only got to do one school in the Army. I don't know if you know this. I was the master driver for my company. Yeah,
Hey.
so everybody's like, "Oh, you must have got to do cool schools in FF." No, I did. I did the coolest I was in the box, faking driver's licenses for guys when we went to Korea. But I got pulled out of that course because I had some shit going on at home, and I went to the instructor. I was like, "Hey, man, this is what I got going on." He's like, "It's all right. I can let you." He was going through a divorce too, so he just let me slide. And
All right.
I passed the only school I ever got to go to in the Army outside of the course, because the other instructor just happened to be going through a divorce at the time.
Perfect.
Otherwise, I never would have gotten a school in the military.
Oh, guys.
Nothing. So just be upfront with people and tell them, and
Yes.
you're probably likely to come out ahead. Um, so when did you pick Echo, and why?
I didn't. Um, I didn't
At
pick
least, at
Echo,
least
and
you
I
didn't get told Delta then either.
I actually wanted Delta. Because my original plan when I went to University of Washington was to go to med school, and I decided not to do that for some reason. And I think when I went SF, I think my top three choices were Delta, Bravo, and Charlie, and they gave me Echo. I also put every other group but first group, and I got first group in Mandarin. So somebody didn't like me somewhere. I don't know what was going on, but
What was your GT score? Jesus.
117.
Oh. That's not
Nah,
outstanding. I mean,
not great, but I mean, it's not terrible. It's
yeah, no, it's
I guess they at that point in time, I mean, they were still trying to figure everything out, and at that point in time, it was probably they were still letting dudes right out of high school come in. They still had 18-year-olds that had a couple credit hours in junior college and weren't necessarily doing. I mean, they were getting the minimum GT score, but um, it. I apparently I did really good on the D lab. Can't remember how they score that, but when I got the score back on that,
nobody fucking knows. Nobody fucking knows how they did it. I've talked to people that are great language speakers, and they go, "Oh, I have no idea. I just picked." You use your emotions to answer the questions on that test.
yes, that's exactly what you do. That test sucks. But yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I didn't choose Echo. I'm not mad about it, I think I mean, I probably would have made a better Bravo. Just in the I I'm good at shooting guns. I'm good at, other things. At that point in time, computers weren't really super big on the team. We had computers, but they were super old and slow and gross. And so I was good at radios. And I had when we deployed in '07, um, I had a 25 series guy with me that was absurdly smart, and I learned a lot from that guy. He was my I was fairly new on the team. I was on the B team, and for some reason they put me on the B team as a subject matter expert for radios and put me in charge of the comm section because my senior was he was doing all the level 3 stuff and didn't want to do any echo stuff. So he put me in charge of the communications for the B team, and I had to lean on my support guy real good, and he taught me a lot. And we're still really good friends to this day. So
You might know the person I'm going to bring up here, but when we went to Korea in 16, or yeah, 16, we brought our 25 series. That motherfucker did everything. Shout out to
yeah,
Brandon Delaplane.
playing sounds familiar.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he was over in the Camo shed after this,
was he
before and
third
after
time?
that. Yeah, third battalion.
Okay, yeah,
With Scott. Scott, you remember Scott?
yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
He's
he was over
still
there
he's
at
still
that time.
floating around there somewhere.
He's up. Yeah, he grew up doing. Well, I'm trying to get him on the show with his new project, but he's got me busy. He sounds like he's busy. He's always describing something to me.
Is
I'm
he
like,
not a
Scott,
group
I don't.
anymore?
He is, yeah.
Oh,
He's
okay,
got other
gotcha. Yeah, yeah.
him and a bunch of people at group. They formed this the Highwaymen group, and they've
Okay,
got like a nonprofit and stuff going on. But
shit. I'll
anyway,
have to hit
back.
him up. Yeah,
I'll send you. We'll get after this. We
yeah.
know all the same people, and it's cool. But we're just one hallway or one little street between us, and there's like
Uh,
years of separation and things like that. But I want to do an enabler series on the show too, to like point out to people that we don't fucking really know a lot of shit, and we gotta have people to help us because the 25 series, those guys, they know the shit. Like, SF guy gets so much shit dumped on him. It's like, hey, I need you to hook this. We need internet. Well, I don't know how to fucking. What do you mean you need internet? Uh,
right.
if you're
Don't
down
lose
at the
the
com,
internet when you're downrange.
no, no,
The team will revolt.
I can imagine. Like, um, so you went to the B team first, or you went to a
Yeah,
team?
yeah. I went so like I mentioned there. So I did language school at Fort Lewis. Um,
First off, what did you think when you got your language and you're like, fuck, I'm going back to Washington because you're from there? Is that like why it was your last choice?
Yeah, I wanted something new, and Oki, Germany, Oki would have been fine if I was going to first group. Like that would have been fine for me. But, I mean, I grew up 40 minutes from JBLM. Like I grew up in a small town out there. Like I know the area really well. Like I just want something new. And, which once I got out there, I wasn't mad about it because when we were home, I was home. I didn't have to take special leave to go home and see the family or anything like that. I could just go for dinner every night if I wanted to, like so um I what I didn't know because of me getting that Article 15, I went to a later Robin Sage. I went to the next Robin Sage. And so when we finished that Robin Sage, they had everybody, out in student company, and they're calling everybody's names off, and Spanish, blah 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 blah. All these they call the language and the names. My name never got called, and I'm like, what? I went up to one of the cadre. Yeah, hey, what's you never called my name. They're like, what's your name? I was like, hey, and they're like, uh, hold please. And they came back. They went away for like 20 minutes. Come back and like,
You got
oh,
dropped like 2 years ago.
yeah,
We just
yeah,
never told you.
yeah. We just been paying you. I don't know, but yeah. So they came back and were like, oh, you're going to Mandarin at Fort Lewis. You're going to first group. And by the way, you start SEER school next week. What? I had no idea. Yeah, exactly. What? Because at that point in time in the course, it was Sage, language, SEER, and then you graduate. And they had just started, I don't know if they're still doing it, but they had just started putting SEER school at the end of phase 2 as well. So my SEER class was like a weird mixture of phase 2 kids and guys graduating. And 160th guys. We had a bunch of 160th in there also. And
Yeah,
yeah.
they've moved SEER around. When I went through, it was SUT, then SEER.
So phase 2 SUT, yes. Phase 2 was
Yeah,
SUT.
which I thought that was a nice, SUT sucks. All right, let's just put SEER with it right after it,
Right.
and then get it over with, and then you go to your MOS, which as a Charlie, it was like time off. I think it was. I really do think it's more of a gentleman's course than the other MOSs. Like we didn't get we didn't get shit on. We didn't get smoked. Not not one time actually when our cars went through. Now we didn't. Nobody was fucking up either. But like the Bravos, they're like it's fucking rough. I was like that sucks. And then the Deltas, well they're sucked the whole time. And then Echoes are like, fucking max gain, fuck this shit. It's like, oh, fuck that. That sounds horrible. They're like 150-pound rucks. I was like, we don't ruck anywhere at
Yeah.
all. Everything goes on the truck out to the build site. There was such a discrepancy. I remember one night we're like in our huts. The cadre have left and we're like playing cards or something. It's fucking, I think it was raining or some shit. And the Bravos are like right outside of our door getting the shit smoked out of them. Like they're hanging mortars and then throwing sand in each other's face because they'd fucked up so bad. And we're like drying our socks on the heater and making licky chewies and shit. So I think the Charlie course was hard. Yeah, there was a lot of math and a lot of thinking and things like that. But I didn't have a bad time compared to other ones though. But
Yeah.
we also didn't fuck up. Like nobody fucked up the whole time.
That's good. Yeah.
Experiences may vary. That's why I say I was in the first easy class.
Yeah. But yeah, so I got out. I got told I was going to Lewis, and I got out there, and it was weird because we did the beret ceremony after SEER. So we got our berets, but we didn't get our tabs until we graduated. And so I get out there. I'm a Green Beret E4 without a tab.
Mm-hmm.
Did make sense. So we just kind of wore PCs the whole time. And once we finished language school, the group commander is actually the one that pinned our tabs on. A small little ceremony in the language lab there. And then we got told where we were going, and that's when we found out we're going to the B team. I was going to the B team. The other 3 guys in my class went down the hall. And but our promotion orders, all 4 of us were X-rays. And our promotion orders didn't catch up to us because when you're an X-ray, when you graduate the course, you're supposed to get your E5. So now I'm a long tabbed E4 running around group for like 6 months, and people were looking at me like, "What the fuck do you do? Do you get busted down?" And you're like, "What?" Yeah, I just graduated the course. Like I don't know, like so.
Yeah, at this time because nobody's heard of X-rays. There's very few in the force. Like
Right, and the people that have heard of them don't like us. So
none, zero.
my
They
senior
probably
hated them.
still don't. Oh, I'm sure that like you're gonna come off the street and do my job, you fucking piece of shit. Get in the gig pit.
Yeah, yeah. And if he had a gig pit, he would have put me in it. He's the only person in group to ever smoke me. Because I didn't put away. Do you remember? Are you familiar with the old tape reader crypto devices?
No.
So they used to run crypto instead of the digital. It was like strips of paper, and you would pull it through this machine. And they were antiquated by then. They were like Vietnam era type devices. And I had them out in the B team office to get turned into sig debt because they were turned in for destruction. And I had them sitting. They're they're not classified items. They're on their own. They're on class, but because of what they did, you still had to have them behind two cipher lock doors, whatever, which they were. But I was down the hall and I came back and he is just livid that they've been sitting on the desk and not in the safe. And I'm like, I got an appointment in 20 minutes to take him to the sig debt. Why? And he just went off and he proceeds to smoke me for like 3 hours. And I was like, flashback to SOPC, like, oh, well, here we go again.
The choppers are flying overhead.
Right. But he had his own issues. That was the problem.
I was just
he was
about to say,
taking a lot
I
of
feel
it
like
out
there's
on
probably
me.
something else going on there.
Yeah, I mean, he was living in the B team. If that gives you
Is that bad? Is that bad? Oh,
yeah, it's
okay.
bad. That's bad.
Okay. Because if remember I was telling you about my team sergeant, he was living in the team room also.
Oh, okay. Oh, common theme here. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
No, so we were getting ready to pack out for Iraq, and we'd had all the boxes packed. The 1149s are filled out, ready to go. We're getting pallet loaded the next day. We get in the next morning, and again, he's in his bathrobe, drinking his coffee, and he's just mad as hell because what's on the 1149s are not what's in the boxes. And me and the 25 series kid had personally packed all the boxes. And he's just, I mean, we stayed there until about 2 in the morning the next night, packing them all up again and redoing all the 1149s. And come to find out, he'd just gotten drunk the night before and moved shit around. Like, yeah. And he had the audacity when we got done with, so I got blown up in Iraq. I was, are you
okay?
I got 10 fingers, 10 toes. I got a few new scars and some shrapnel, but I'm good. Fucking, I was Sergeant Major Connor's gunner, when we got blown up.
Yeah.
He was,
okay.
So, so after I got back to the team, I was out for about a month, got medevaced out and everything. And when I got back to the team, he pulls me into his little, secret squirrel office. And he's like, "Hey man, I just wanted you to know, I'm real proud of how you acted that day." Like, what? Like, what do you mean you're proud of how it, well, you just didn't do what I expected you to do. The fuck did you expect me to do? Like, just because I'm an x-ray, you think I'm just going to like curl up in a ball and start crying? Like, oh, fuck you, man. Like, I was mad. I lost all respect for that dude that day. Like, this is like, come on, man. Like, really? This is what you wanted to say to me?
Yeah.
So,
A lot going on at that time. The 3-pronged cocktail of death that we've come up, or of self-destruction, is drinking problems, undiagnosed TBIs, and then problems at home, and then you just
and he had
mix
2
all
of them
3 of
at
those up.
least.
Yeah, and you're gonna have a bad time. You're just gonna take it out on people around you.
Oh, absolutely.
It's terrible that's so prevalent of guys too.
Yes.
Is they just let that eat away at them. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I was on 1230's B team, probably like November of 16 through like June of 17. When we went to Korea.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
We did the sock. I forget what it was called. It was a lot of fun. I had a great time. No, I didn't get to go to soccer. I was trying to get to soccer in 18. My deal fell apart. Otherwise, I feel like I would probably still be in the military if I was able to get that. But Sergeant Major PCS down to the Sergeant Major Academy down in Tampa early.
Who's
And
your
my
sergeant
deal
major?
at that time was Soldner.
Soldner. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know him. I knew him, but I didn't know him.
Yeah. But yep, didn't work out. And now here we are sitting in a basement talking to you, looking at fucking comments, hamstringing people into coming in and talking to me about the old days and shit like
Right.
that. Fuck, man. I could still, for everybody listening at home, in the hallways of all these special forces companies and sites, there's, the pictures of everybody that's been killed in action. And in Charlie Company, there was 4 pictures, of 3rd Battalion, Charlie Company, 3rd Battalion. And you guys had like 5 when I was there, or 6, but
Yeah, like
Sergeant Major,
sick. Yeah, Connor,
yeah,
Tully, Elizalde. Let's see, Nate, Rusty, Mark Coleman. I mean, yeah, we had way too many.
yeah, it's Chaplain, Shaw, Chris Shaw,
The
Martin,
chaplain, yeah,
and Park for
yep,
us.
yeah. And
It's weird
Shaw
how
and
you
Martin
remember
were
that shit.
Philippines, right?
Shaw and Martin were, yeah, in the
Yeah,
Philippines, roadside bomb. Yeah.
yep. That was the rotation right after the second rotation after us. So we were there right before because First Battalion came and swapped out with us, and then they swapped out with First Battalion, and that was the area we were in when we got ambushed over there.
Here's like in the timeline, right? So you were the rotation before, and then those guys swapped out for you, and they got blown up. And then the rotation after, I had on Kevin Edgerton. He's the one that rotation that came in and killed those motherfuckers. Yeah, he was on here and he told me the story about, yeah, we figured it out. We didn't really do it, but we by, with, and through the Philippines went in and killed
Uh-huh.
those motherfuckers, that ones who set that bomb, because they knew, and they're like,
Yeah,
hey, we got some info for you, if you guys want to go do a mission, and they did. And then
I
Kevin
know
was able
exactly
to.
where it was because we went down there, um, a year prior basically, and that whole area, the road was just shitty. Like that road looked like it'd been a war zone for years. Like it was just full of like artillery marks, and all the buildings around had just been shot to shit for years. Like the school just had fucking looked like 50 cal holes all over it. And because the medic that was on that team, who was he was a Navy medic, Navy corpsman. Um, he was a supplement to the team. He was on our he was with us, and so we were talking to him, and yeah, he told me about what happened. He's like, man, I nothing I could do, like so. Yeah, that was he told me right where it happened and everything. I was like, fuck. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me it happened there because it would be so easy to hide it.
Yeah, it was a rough thing. A lot of people don't even know that that was going on in
Oh,
that part of the world
yeah, people
at
find
all.
out I got it in the Philippines. Like, wait, you were in the Philippines? Like, what? Yeah,
Yeah, guys are getting CIBs in the Philippines and
yeah,
shit.
yeah.
So
I mean, near ambush, right outside, 200 meters outside our fob, our camp. Like it was nuts. Like the Marines, Philippine Marines we were working with, just lost complete control of their AO, and it was crazy.
but that's like another example, right? Of, you're in the course, you don't have any fucking idea about any of this shit. You're like, Philippines, what the fuck? The news. We're in Afghanistan, we're in Iraq.
Mm-hmm.
No, there's bad shit going on in like 80 countries, bro. And we're in all of them, doing bad shit to bad people.
Yep. And it's funny because I don't know about you when you went through, but when I was going through, third group, fifth group, they were kind of on the rotation for GWAT, and all the cadre were talking shit about first group. Ah, just go on vacation, to the Philippines. You're just gonna go on vacation. Blah 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 blah. And it's like, well, turns out not so much.
That's normal stuff.
Oh yeah, shit
Because at
talking. I
that,
get it.
thirds at when you went through third and seventh, were at Bragg. Um,
Yep.
as close as you are to the flagpole, whatever. Who gives a fuck? Like but there are different personalities in different groups, and everybody first is the farthest away. So everybody's gonna be like, well, nobody know you guys out there and your lady boys and shit. And which, first of all, it's none of your fucking business. Second of all,
First
it's
of all,
also
keep your
none of your
voice
fucking
down.
business. Keep your voice down. Um, I didn't know, but there was some fucking, first battalion. They're running guys that go out there. They're doing 35 months gone out of 36. When they're out there 3 years, they come back. They're like, fucking, I'm done with that shit.
Yeah.
I'm ready to never do that ever again.
Yeah, my
Or it
team
ruins
sergeant
their
came first battalion.
rough life, man. Or it just basically, it ruins your life, or it does a really good job getting you most of the way there.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, I earned my tab, right? I got my divorce, so You know.
Whatever. You're not infantry till your first divorce. You're not SF till your second divorce.
Oh well,
So
I don't plan on getting a second one. So
that's the joke. Well, there
yeah,
was over in one of our companies. We had like 17 divorces for 13 dudes or something like that. So get blown up. You Purple Heart, Arcom with a V. You're
I got the
senior.
Arcom in the Philippines.
Oh, is this from the other one?
Yeah,
Oh, so separately. So you're
yeah, oh, yeah.
fucking goddamn
Yep,
man. You're a hero. Just
goddamn
hanging out
hero,
on Twitch and shit.
right?
No, what'd you get your Purple Heart for?
EFP or
Okay.
yeah, we were in Iraq. We were rolling from our camp up to a meet with some police general that we probably shouldn't have been meeting with, and knew that he was
Turns
corrupt.
out, turns out it was a bad idea.
Yeah, yeah. Well, our company commander at the time had kind of let the bad guy dictate time and place of a meeting, which kind of rule one, don't do. But so we ended up so fun. I Our senior Bravo had just gone home on paternity leave, and as we're putting the convoy together, the con out for the convoy, um, it had one of my support kids. He was one of our EMS dudes in the front truck on the gun, and I was like, no, I was like, we'll put him in the middle. He'll be fine on the gun, but I'll ride up front. Like I got the experience. I've been going out I'm averaging about 2 hours of sleep a night because I'm on the B team, but I'm co-located with another ODA. So I'm rolling out with them. I'm doing stuff for the B team. I'm just burning the candle at all ends, right? So we're going down this route that we know is bad. Fifth group had warned us when we got there, hey man, if you gotta go down this road, do it, but don't do it often. And so as I can looking back, hindsight's always 2020. We'd hit that road a couple times, no issues. But this time I just, looking back, there was nobody out on that road. There were no kids, there were nothing, so they fucking knew. And so we come up on this corner, it's a 90-degree left hand turn, and this white pickup is in front of us. And as we're coming up on, I mean, we're hauling ass. We're doing, 56 miles or whatever those Humvees will do because we didn't have the MRAPs yet. And we're coming up on this truck, and you remember those old Back to the Future van, the Lebanese come rolling up in those old ass
Yeah, the
Toyota
Astro van.
minivans? Yeah. It was one of those, just a little snub nose, and it just comes screaming out of this driveway. Totally cuts this pickup truck off, and Spidey senses start going off like that was weird. Like they drive like idiots, but they don't typically drive like assholes. And so as we go by, the truck pulls over, and it's this little old. I can still remember his face. It's like this old farmer dude. He's just all hunched over the steering wheel, can barely see out of over the steering wheel, and his wife or some old lady in the car. We go past him. We're catching back up to speed, and I'm realizing this van is now pacing us from the front. And I'm like, okay, this is something's not right. And so I leaned in because I'm up on the gun. I leaned in. I was going to ask the sergeant major if I could take a couple warning shots at him, just to try to get him to pull over. And as soon as I leaned in, it just goes go whoop. That's all I heard, and just glass and all kinds of shit everywhere. Um, you know, people were screaming. It was a mess. And we once we get through the kill zone, the van's gone, like nowhere to be seen. And the guys behind us don't know who's alive, who's dead, what's going on. I'm trying to make comms with the radio, but the blast was strong enough that it actually sent kind of like an EMP through and just fried our radios. Because we killed our jammers, we're trying to make comms like, hey, bad things have happened. And so finally we get security up, and our medic gets out. He's evaluating everything. And Sergeant Major he was killed instantly. Like that wasn't, he didn't suffer, luckily. But I didn't realize I'd been hit at that point. And so I'm still standing in the turret, and the medic's like, oh, let me check you out. And as soon as he touched my leg, everything just went fucking tunnel vision. I was like, bro, whoa, like what is going on? And they get me in the back of the truck, and stripped me down, and my legs are chewed up pretty good. And I remember hearing on the radio the commander trying to call up the 9 line, and he's called in at least 10 different grids. Didn't know where we were at. He called up so many different, finally got it right. Somebody else took the radio, got it right. And I get it. It was a very stressful situation, but operational, situational awareness, all the above, you're supposed to be in charge of us, and pull your shit together. And then finally a random EOD unit showed up. They happened to be on MSR Tampa, the main route there, and saw the explosion, found the next off ramp, came around, back up, and helped pull security, and their medics were out helping us. And they're getting ready to get me out of the truck, and the major comes over and he's like, "Hey, get on my back." And mind you, the major's like 5'5" on a good day. And I'm like, "Sir, you're too short. Like, I need somebody taller," because we had the steel box in the back, with no easy way in or out, and my legs aren't working. And so he finally just like tries to pull me out. He just slams my hamburger legs into the spare tire, and I was so mad. And then they strap me down on the stretcher, and the EOD medic's working on me at this point. And the bird's coming in, medevac's coming in, and it's on one of those chip rock asphalt roads, and he covers my face with a whoopee. My legs are just wide open to the world. I'm not wearing any pants. They've cut everything off of me, and I'm just getting pelted with rocks. Like, that's it's just like, fuck, man, come on. And so they get me on the bird. We get medevaced up to Baghdad. And I got released that day. There's a 10th group team up there we got released to because I was deemed fit enough to not be necessary to go to Germany just yet. They said they could probably treat me there. And so I told them I would stay there instead of sending me to Germany. Looking back, I probably should have gone to Germany. But yeah, that day we go to, did you ever make it to the green zone while you were there?
I never got to go.
Okay.
I never got to do anything.
So the green zone, fairly safe. I would say it's fairly safe. It's like 80% safe.
They made a movie about it.
Sure. Well, so we didn't have any clothes. I had this sweet shirt that the hospital gave me, and it said, it was like a blood donation shirt. It said, "Give from the heart," because I have. And it just ridiculous, right? So I was like, I need some different clothes. So my Charlie was with me because he got fucked up pretty good too. He had a couple good burns, some shrapnel on his shoulder and stuff. So we borrow one of the trucks from 10th group, and we go to this little shopette that's there in the green zone. We go to get some clothes and stuff. And I mean, I'm all hobbled up. I'm bleeding through my bandages, dripping all over the floor in the fucking shopette. And we get outside, and I'm waiting for him to come back with the truck. And I'm waiting, and I'm waiting, and I'm waiting. I'm like, where the fuck is he? Well, this little Columbia dude comes up to me, and he's like, "Sir," he's one of the triple canopy guys, the contractors. "Sir, please, bunker, wait." I'm like, no, my buddy's coming to get. "No, sir, please wait, bunker, car bomb." Excuse me? He goes, "Yes, sir." He points out to the parking lot. Sure shit, there's the EOD going through a fucking car. Like, mother, really? Today? Come on, man. So go sit in the bunker for, an hour until they cleared that. And then finally, my Charlie comes over, picks me up, and we go back. But I was like, come on, man. Like, what a day.
It's a rough day.
Yeah, it's a bad day. It was a bad day.
It sounds like it. I mean, at least you're able to walk away and, have it with a smile on your face.
Yeah.
2 hours of sleep up at this point? You're running all the time?
Yeah. Yeah, I was,
Do you ever think about that? Your ability to function at a high level while putting your body through that much stress?
It sucked. Yeah, which is probably why, I get on a good night now, I get 5 or 6 hours, body's just like, man, we don't need that. That's cool. And yeah, and I think a lot of it had to do with first deployment, senior who basically traumatized me, I guess, for lack of a better term. Like, he was just waiting for an opportunity to fuck me up. And um, I needed to, I guess, prove to myself that I could do it, in the sense of I'm in charge of this detachment, this combo detachment. These are my guys. I need to make sure they're good. So, but I also want to do cool guy shit. Why else? I want to go do the fun stuff too. So, and 6'3" needed an extra hand a lot of nights, just because they needed a guy to sit on the trucks while they went and cleared houses. I'm cool sitting on a 50. They're fun. They're fun to shoot. And so I'd roll out with them quite often. And but yeah, it wasn't until I got blown up and I'm up at the B team in 10th with the 10th group B team, and I'm sitting there and I can hear my guys on the radio, and all I want to do is get back there. But I know I can't, because I can't fucking walk. So I'm like, I'm a liability if I go down there. Like, and it kind of clicked. Like, I don't need to push myself this hard. Like, my guys got this. And it was a big eye opener for me. So when I got back eventually, I was able to lighten my load, because they'd been doing it now for a month and a half without me and doing it phenomenally. So I didn't need to be stressed about them. I knew they had that, and they could come to me if they needed anything. But then, I could focus on other things and actually get some rest.
Yeah, some rest. And that's common, right? When you get to group, you want to prove yourself and to everybody else, and you think there's not going to be enough time to do it. You got to do it right away. We got to get do this, because we don't know when it's going to end. When really you need to think about 5, 10, 15 years down the road. Like, you can't sustain some of these op tempos. I mean, some people can. They might go insane or they'll ruin their lives, but there's a price to pay for all that. If you're willing to
Uh-huh.
pay the price, then maybe it's worth it to you. But you can't, you know, you can't be sleeping 2 hours a night. And guys will continue that when they get back, and keep that life. Oh, I got to go to school. I got to do this stuff. And yeah, there'll be opportunities for that, but you really got to think about long term down the road. How is this going to affect me?
How many years did I take off my life by doing that? Like,
I don't know, four,
maybe.
3, who knows? Well,
We'll
could
see.
be worse.
Sure. Yeah.
So what year was that? 6 or
Uh,
7?
2007.
7.
Yeah.
So you get back. Are you still a specialist at this point? I'm kidding. No.
No, no. I actually pinned my 6 while I was there. So that was a fun one. My ID card was the dirty mustache and the sterile uniform, and the retired sergeant major that worked at that ID facility in uh Kalsu, I think it was Fob Kalsu. I walk in, I've got DCUs on, they're sterile. I've got sleeves rolled up. I've got just the dirtiest fucking porn stash. And he looks at me and he's like, "I don't know who you are, but he goes, if you were one of my troops, you'd you'd be in a lot of trouble right now." And I'm like, "I'm just told to get a new ID card. That's all I need, man." Like,
Just give me the fucking fries. Put the fries in the bag,
just
man.
put the fries in the
Just put
bag.
the fries in the fucking bag. I don't give a fuck what. I'm not one of your soldiers. If I
Right. And you're not even in anymore. You're a contractor. So
You're out. I
yeah.
I get it. I get it. You fucking all about standards. I don't
Yep.
care. Put the fries in the bag. Just give me my ID card, man.
Right.
So how was it getting back after that to group and settling back into life?
Short. Um, because we got back in October. My operations sergeant on the B team ended up being my team sergeant, and he took me to his team with him when he took over 6-6. And we immediately turned around and started training up for the Philippines. We left for the Philippines in, when did we leave? May. So from October to May, I was home, but most of it was spent training. We were out of Yakima doing PMT and all this other stuff. And then, yeah, then we were in the Philippines for 9 months.
What's your like purpose during this time in your head? Like, because why are you continue? Because you're in the military, you got to do what you're told. But up until like even graduation and a little after, because it was a weird end to the course for you, you know, you kind of didn't know what you're getting yourself into, and then you get to a team, and then it's this sort of life. What are you thinking about all of it at this point?
I mean, coming from the B team, where my senior made my life miserable for about 18 months. I was on the B team for almost 2 years because of that deployment. They didn't want to take me off halfway through deployment and put me on. So I ended up being there a lot longer than I should have been. And my senior just made my life miserable on a daily basis. So I was very disenfranchised at that point. Um, but, and the operations sergeant, um, he, he was, as an operations sergeant, he put the operations sergeant hat on. Like he put the first sergeant hat on, like, because he was dealing with some knuckleheads. And like I remember we were at PMT down in where the fuck were we? Louisiana. We were at Fort Polk doing
Oh,
PMT, and that's when he got there. And I was doing something with the radios, and he walks into the B team, and I just introduced myself. You know, hey, I'm Brandon, blah blah blah. And he's like, you can call me Sergeant. You know, and I was like, Roger, Sergeant. Like, okay, you know, I was like, that's how it's gonna be. So, and he kept that up pretty much the whole time we were in Iraq. Like he was very just by the book, like this, that, and the other. And the last night we were in Iraq, me and Kelly, the 25 series dude that we were with, we were down in the motor pool with the contractors down there, fucking having a Jack and Coke. You know, hey, it's last night here. We're gonna have a little, you know, hey, thanks for having us, and you know, maybe we'll see you sometime other in life. And he and I are sitting down there in their little hangout area, and in comes, you know, Sergeant Lacombe. Here he comes, and I'm like, oh fuck, you know, like we're sitting here with booze, and I'm like, oh god. And he's like, he looks around and he goes, "Are you gonna pour me one?" Like, what? Who's this guy? And from that point on, like, that's when he and I talked about he was gonna bring me to the team and this, that, and the other. And solid motherfucker. Like, he was by far the best team sergeant that we had. When we got down to 6-6, like he took control of that team. And I would dare to say that we were probably one of the better teams in the company at that point, as far as just standards went. And like he had his shit together, and he didn't put up with shit either. Like I don't know if you heard of uh the Benford Stegall era of group. Um but
heard
it
of
was
the Bruce Barker bag drag.
oh yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm
no,
talking? No, you're the first one. No,
no,
okay,
I haven't
no.
heard that one. But
We'll get that's the next story for the next part here. We'll
yeah.
go ahead.
So yeah, he when we got down to the team, like that whole my senior NCO chain all the way up was rough. Company sergeant major, battalion sergeant major, group sergeant major. They were all it was a dark time. It was a dark time of group. And my team sergeant was a real good buffer about that. Like he just wasn't gonna put up with the bullshit. Like when we got ambushed in the Philippines, we actually got awarded the Philippine Order of the Bronze Cross, which was the highest award you can get from the Philippine government without being in the Philippine military. And their chief of staff, their 4-star general, came down and pinned it on us. And when we got off the helicopter, our company sergeant major comes over and meets us at the fucking bird. And he's looking at us and he's like, I can't believe you guys would show up here like this. I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, you guys got sideburns down to here and blah, 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 blah. Like, really? Like, you're going to bitch about sideburns right now? Like, come on, man. Like, there's bigger fish to fry. But he didn't like us. That's a big reason I got out too, was that future stuff, interactions with that group of people. So, but team sergeant was good. Team aspect, once I got to an actual ODA, was great. We had a real solid team. We did split team in the Philippines, so it was 6 on one side, 6 at the other. We didn't have an officer. We had a warrant, but we didn't have a captain. Our captain ended up getting pulled to XO duty, and so my half of the team didn't have an officer running anything, and that blew people's minds. They didn't know how to react to that. Like all the way up to PACOM. Like we had the PACOM commander come out and figure out how we were doing so well without an officer. Like we had to sit down and give him briefs in our team room. That like it was nuts.
It's not required.
No.
No,
And we were
it's not
doing good
required.
things.
Yeah.
We were doing great things. After that ambush, we The Philippine Marines replaced their commander with a major. The battalion replaced him with a major who had spent his whole career on that island, knew every village mayor. I think he might have been from there. I don't remember, but he basically went around and was like, look, we know you're helping Abu, whatever the hell your name is. He has until X date to come onto my camp. And if he does not come onto my camp by this date under a white flag, I will kill him. And he was true to his word. Yeah, we ended up doing some pretty cool shit. By with and through.
Yeah. For people listening at home, real war, like fucking big battles in the Philippines. And they go out and get into engagements all the time. And some bad shit going on there. Unfortunately, not written about too much, but some great things and some um,
Beautiful
hellacious
country.
battles came out. Yeah, yeah. Philippines is nice, beautiful. But anything you missed about group? You're like, I wish I would have got to do that.
I mean, not really, I guess. I mean, obviously, some of the cool guy schools would have been fun, but not required. Um, like I ended up on a Halo team in the guard, but I didn't go to Halo school. I never got to jump. I just filled a slot. Um, so that was fun. But so I no, I mean that was I guess kind of the reason getting out was the best option for me at the time. Um, because we got back from the Philippines and we did a JSET to Thailand, and the team was getting ready to roll to Afghanistan in 2010, and it was either I re-enlist for pennies on the dollar. Like the bonuses were just horrendous at that point. I think for 6 years was like $4,000 or something like that. It was awful. And so this is where my previous statement comes into play of my interactions with my senior leadership was bad because my good team sergeant had left. The new guy that came in was a really nice guy, but he was a yes man to the sergeant major, it felt like. And so when I came time for my reenlistment, I said, hey, I'll take a shitty bonus, but I want a school. Like, it doesn't have to be a cool guy school, a freak manager, something career progressing that will help me out in the long run. Oh, we don't have any money for schools right now. Okay. Well, we just stood up the dog team. Send me over there. Oh, we just put our last slot filled up over there. Fuck. Okay. Send me out to Okie. I'm single. I got nothing going on. Like I'm single. Oh, we don't have any echo slots. So, nothing on. Okay, well, fuck. All right. Well, my last ditch effort was I will extend my contract for this Afghanistan rotation and enlist downrange for the tax free. And the company sergeant major came back and said, nope, you don't have retainability. I'm not going to approve it. I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm getting out. Like,
Well, I'll see you guys later.
yeah. And so in that time frame, we had an award ceremony for the shit we did in the Philippines, like when we got our valid devices and all that stuff. We're sitting in the second battalion, little awards room there, getting our stuff. And afterward, the battalion sergeant major comes up to me. My old man standing there, my mom standing there, and sorry, hey, I hear you're getting out. Like, yeah, sergeant major, I'm getting out. And he's like, well, how can we change that? And my dad just looks at this guy and goes, pay the man. Like, yeah, well, what he said, like, oh, that was pretty funny.
It's crazy that, that happened to you. And then at the same time, they're just funneling dudes through the course to try and fill the shortage that's coming up. And I mean, our classes were huge, but the fail rates were horrendous, like horrendous. Like the guy I talked to last night, he's like, "Yeah, it was a weird time, 13 and 14 and 15 in the course, and they're trying to make up for this." And it's funny, you had officer shortage at that time, and that's just continued. So,
Yeah, now they're shutting down teams or something, and I heard they're doing all kinds of crazy shit because they stood
oh,
up the fourth
fourth,
battalion right around that
they
time.
did, and then
They nixed it.
quickly went to the Jedburgh
Yep.
teams, 3-man teams doing the work of 12 dudes, supposedly. I don't know if that there's any validity to that, but they're doing their great thing, speaking their language really well. Good for them.
Right.
But we got the battalions, and now we're, there's talk with the cuts to the military. If the group's not manned, we'll downsize, go to a more lethal force. That'll bite us in the ass in a few years. They'll be fucking trying to backtrack that decision.
Well,
But
something they
what do
did in
you?
the past too. I mean,
Everything goes up. Everything pendulum swings one way, it swings back the other way.
yep.
But so, what was your feeling walking out the door after getting your DD 214 and just kind of driving off post?
It was weird. It was a weird feeling. Because I didn't. I had a day break in service between active duty and the guard. Um, but even so, with the DD 214 in hand, it was definitely a weird feeling. Uh, Knowing that that wasn't my home anymore, right? Like I wasn't. I'd been there for at that point 5 years, um, and obviously had a good brotherhood with the with my team, and we were a very tight knit team, and it was a weird feeling, definitely. It was a good feeling, but a weird feeling.
Now, but you go over to the guard, and that's a whole different world.
Yes.
That's a weird thing because you can be on a team that just goes to school or
Yeah.
that deploys all the time,
And
or
my
you're
team
just
was kind of a mix of that. We had quite a few active duty guys. My medic on my team actually was he got out at the same time as me and ended up being on the same team with me. So it worked out great. So I knew him. Another guy that I'd gone through the course with that was an ACO. He was on that team. So that it was a good mix of stuff. But I was there for 3 years. I deployed most of it as a contractor. I had another the team sergeant I had at the time there was more worried that you knew that he was a DJ at a strip club in his off time than he was about doing anything SF related. So didn't do a
was
lot
he
of cross training.
legitimately at a
Yeah,
DJ?
well, maybe not then. I think it was between when he was a private in the 82nd and then went to the guard.
That's the
Um,
usual progression.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. Um, and I mean, my warrant put it best that he was an international incident waiting to happen.
No, I'm
He
sure he'd have
he
been fine.
he drank a little bit. I unfortunately don't think he's with us anymore. I believe that alcohol got the better of him. But he just didn't care about training. Like, I mean, I came from a very regimented team where Mondays we did Bravo shit, Tuesdays we did, this, every day there was some structure, there was something going on. So when we'd go to drill and we'd just sit around the armory with a thumb up our ass, it was frustrating. It was very frustrating because I mean, I'm coming from a land of, well, we need to cross train. I need to make sure all you guys know how to fill your radios and this, that, and the other. And I'd bring it up and just get pushed shod to the side, you know?
What do you think about that? Because as you get older, you kind of reflect back and you start to analyze why people acted the way they did, like their experiences led them to have that personality or just have that attitude. And you look back on people like that and you go, isn't that shitty that the life that they wanted to lead drove them to be like that? Most likely, because at one time they weren't like that, and then they
Sure.
just became that person, and then that comes to. Do you ever think about stuff like that?
Time, no. But I mean, yeah, reflecting back, sure. At the time you're just like, well, this fucking sucks. Like what here we go again, another round of dumbassery. And like I was in Afghan I went to Afghanistan on a contract. I told the team leadership before I left, I went there, I said, hey, these are the dates I'm gonna be gone, because we did quarterly drills there. Um and so I was only gonna miss one drill, which I was planning on making up. And so I said, is that good? And I got the thumbs up from team leadership. Well, team leadership never took that information to company leadership. And so while I'm in Afghanistan, I get a email from my warrant um, telling me I need to go into the ING or take an Article 15 for being AWOL. And I was like, you know exactly where I'm at. Like, how am I AWOL? And so, luckily, I was only like a week out from coming home anyway. So I just came back and sat in the armory with me and the two AGR guys that were there for a week. And that was when my team sergeant took me out to lunch, and he's like, "Oh, I see you're coming up on reenlistment. You got to." I was like, "No, I'm done. I'm done, man. Like it's been real, but I'm out." So
Let's call it a day at that point. That
yeah,
sucks, man. Like that's why I tell people it's a very rewarding career and you're going to have a great time. But you got to put in the work to get there. But, watch my show. Like it's some of it's not as great as you think. Like there are guys that have bad times and that gets it. And like, I went to a shitty team. I fucking did not. And it was like, in my mind, a disaster. Other people might see it differently, but like, I almost fucking died. Like, that's pretty shitty.
yeah,
And then I got medically retired because of it. So things might not turn out how you think they're going to. Or in
absolutely.
your case, your recruiter, told you you're gonna be an 18 X-ray when
Right.
I didn't
Cool.
fucking imagine any of this happening.
Nope. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Every day was a new day, and I just, I woke up and here we go.
Yeah.
It was good though because I didn't have expectations. I guess. Yeah.
So did you accomplish everything you wanted to? I know you asked you did this thing to it, but did you feel fulfilled when you were done with it, or was it kind of like was it a feeling of disappointment with how things ended, or what led you to get out?
The things that led me to get out, yes. I did feel I was a little butthurt about it just because I knew that if I had the strong leadership to support me, it wouldn't have gone that way. But looking at it now, I'm 45 years old. I got two little kids, got a great wife. Like I, I probably wouldn't. I would have just retired last year. I would have hit 20 years last year. And who knows where I'd be. Like because I'm not gonna lie. I mean, the end of into the Philippines and into the Thailand trip, I was drinking a lot, and not to soothe the pain. I was like, I mean, because in the Philippines you can get a beer for 20 cents, and we just go out drinking with the those Philippine Marines can drink. By the way, Jesus Christ, they can drink, and I just kept the party going, and so again, I started burning the candle at both ends. I was going out every night and drinking, and then getting up and going doing PT the next morning, and then just rinse and repeat. And it was a bit of a problem. I mean, I was driving, I shouldn't have been driving, think just doing dumb shit. And I got lucky. I got real lucky. I didn't get a Dewey. I didn't hurt nobody. I got really lucky, and I caught myself because I went to go buy a house. I'm like, where the fuck is all my money? Like, what happened? And so I started looking through bank statements, and I realized what I'd done. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. But then I went to Thailand for 2 months, and just all that went right out the window, and I just kept doing it. Right. So then it wasn't until I got out, or I was in the process of getting out, because I didn't do the PMT with the team or anything like that. So I was in the team room by myself, and I kind of had it took me to the point of I poisoned myself basically. I had one night where I just went too hard, and I I physically couldn't drink alcohol for about a year because it made me so sick. Like just the smell of it, I would just get sick. And so it was good, and I needed that. I needed that kind of wake up moment, like, oh hey, dummy, you're killing yourself here. And so now, I mean, I'm fine. I can have a beer and things like that. It doesn't. I'm not gonna just start sucking down a 6 pack and you know doing any of that. I'm in control and all that. But I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that I was just not, probably wasn't happy, and I didn't realize it. You know, and yeah,
Shopette's always open.
yes, it is.
On the way outside, you make that right out of group, you make that second
Mm-hmm.
right, and then there's a Shopette right there before you go out on the gate.
Yep,
You can buy whatever
sure
you want
was.
all the time on your way out on
Yeah,
I-5 there. It's just such a common thing, especially with the enlisted guys, that the drinking does eventually get out of control. Um, and it's great that you were able to get it under control. And I asked another guest I had on, like, why do so many guys continue that path of destruction when they get out? And he said, it's the drinking's like the last vestiges of the team room when the times were good, and that's the last thing that they can do. And so they continue on trying to just hold on to those memories of how when the good times were just good, everything was clicking, and the team, everybody was best friends, and the training was great, and the deployments were great, and everything you did was about the team and the team life. And then you'd finish the day having some beers and hanging out, or you go to a team party on the weekends, and they just want that back, because when it stops, you're like, where the fuck did it go?
So funny you say that. So I used to ride crotch rockets all the time. Started doing dumb shit on those. And so I was like, and that, as I got older, they just became less comfortable. Things started hurting on a 20-minute ride. So I went to the Harley shop there in Olympia, and as I'm buying my bike, I see this dude facing away from me, and he's got a back patch on it, it says Special Forces Brotherhood. I'm like, oh, fuck's this guy? Turns around, and it's one of my old sergeant majors. And Brendan, whoa, wait, what's up, man? And so we start bullshitting, and he brings me out, and I start riding with these guys. And I mean, it's the team after the team, man. And I think that for me has helped a lot. Yeah, so it's been the team after the team, and it's been really good. I was the charter president out there in Fort Lewis for a while, and now we're in the process of standing up a charter out here in Virginia, and I'm with a group of guys out here, and we get together, and just do this, just tell war stories, just bullshit and kind of reminisce about the good times, talk about the bad times, and it's been. I know not just for me, but I mean I've heard it from other guys too that they probably wouldn't be here without that aspect.
How important is it, do you think, for guys to, it's one thing to talk about the good times, but then to, like, admit the bad times and make light of it and bring it out, because we all fucking had it. And then we were afraid that nobody had, like, we were the only ones, right, to have bad times. And then once you start talking about it, you're like, well, first, I feel better, and then everybody is like, bro, everybody, it's all of us.
Uh-huh.
How important is that, do you think?
Super important. And I think that's kind of where I feel like I was older when I came in. I was 24. I mean, I didn't know everything, but I had
Which,
some
looking
maturity.
back, isn't old at all. You're still a
No, no, no,
fucking
no.
fucking child.
But compared to 18,
Yeah, it was
you
18.
know,
Yeah.
and it's like my mental state was a little bit more grown, and like I've never had a problem talking about any of the bad shit, like, and I think that has helped me a lot. And I see guys that have struggled with PTSD and have struggled with, survivor imposter, the survivor's guilt and all that stuff. And they don't necessarily talk about it. They don't, they just bottle it up because, I'm a goddamn man and I can't show emotion. And it's like, to me, that's the wrong answer. Like, um, I've become ridiculously close with Sergeant Major Connor's family. Um, I was able to bridge a gap that they didn't have. And it almost didn't happen. How we do Menton every year, and we're at the wreath laying ceremony with the
Yeah.
Canadians. Well, that year, we had 4 guys that had to put names on the wall, and 5 because another guy in the Philippines. And Sergeant Major Connor's parents were there, and they stood up, and I'm in formation out there, and his dad gets up, and after everything was all over, I just went up to him and I was like, "Hey, I was with Brad when he died," and he just gave me the biggest hug. I'm gonna fucking cry, but I mean, it was such an emotional moment for both of us, and from that moment on, I was family, and being able to bring that to them, and you know I never told them anything unless they asked, because it's a traumatic experience, obviously. But being able to especially for his kids. I mean, his kids were, teenagers and younger at that point. And, I sat down with all of them at one point. I was like, look, anything you want to know from that particular day or any other time that he was my sergeant major, I'm more than happy to sit down and talk to you about. And they've all come to me at some point with something, and like his boy just got commissioned 10 years ago. He's 10 years ago now. And he asked me to be his first salute,
Mm.
like 100%, I'm there, and just stuff like that. And just being able to talk about it and be that connection, and it's the same with us, just being able to talk about that and just get it off your chest, like it's important. It's important for guys to talk about it and not just think you're strong enough to hold it together, because the human body and the human psyche is only so strong, and eventually it's going to crack.
Yeah, you can put up with a lot of shit until you can't.
Right.
It's like your your trauma. You're like a glass, right? Filling it with water, but once it overflows, the glass goes away, and then everything hits you all at the same time because you can't handle anything anymore. You just fucking break, and that's what I refer to it as. And I don't know. That's what I like about this, like this thing I've made. Uh, I can people anybody can come on here and talk to me as special operations guys. And I mean I don't know. I never got to go to combat. I never got to do the thing during that era that everybody got to do. But whatever, I understand. And I'll listen to you and we'll talk and I got a perspective and things like that. And I can, we'll talk about shit and, and have a good time. Just sit and fucking like we're in the team room talking about shit again. Like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Fuck yeah, man. That's so important. I had a buddy of mine over here the other day. He was attached to some soft units as a JTAC, and we just sat down here talking about shit for a couple hours. And if you don't do that, because when you get out, there's no formation to be with your brothers anymore, your family. You'll quickly realize that that's gone, and you're going to have to work twice as hard, three times, four times as hard to now build a distance sense of community. Like ever since starting this, like lesser known operators, I had like 8 Green Berets in my phone when I started. I got like 100 now. You know, people saved it in there. Oh, I'm talking to this person. You're scheduled, messaging this person, reconnected with people. There's fucking work. You got to use technology. You got to rebuild this community long distance because I live in fucking Wisconsin. There's like 4 dudes here, and and
There's probably more that you just don't know about, too. I mean,
well, it's not a lot. It's not a lot. I mean, there's a few. There's more than 4, but
right.
there's not very many.
Yeah.
Um, it's not like Bragg, where if you're in Southern Pines and you throw a rock, you'll actually hit four SF dudes, the 2 guys from CAG, and then like something else, right?
Right.
But you're gonna have to work. If you do, you put in the time and you set up, you know, stay connected with people, get them in your phone, messaging people, staying connected. Those opportunities will come up to stay in contact and to have that sense of community, and you'll feel better. You will, even though you think you won't. Oh, I don't need that shit. Well, you probably fucking do. If you work that hard to get somewhere, it took a toll on you to get
Mhm.
the beret and to get the life. And guest to my show said the hardest part about getting the green beret isn't getting the beret itself. It's earning the right to wear it every day. And once you've passed that stage, earning the right to wear the green beret every day and be an example, that's kind of it's something beyond the beret and beyond like the persona. It's a feeling you can't describe to somebody else, that you embody what it means, and then other people see that in you, and you see that in your friends, and to keep that around, you're going to need to keep that around because it's part of who you are. Not saying for everybody, but for most people, it becomes part of who they are. And I worked very hard to get my beret, and it was over. Uh, my team time was over right away, and I took it very poorly. But starting this show and being around and having conversations with other Green Berets and special operations folks, I feel a lot better. I feel good. I didn't get to do the one thing, but people I've had on the show that were on for 20 years, they didn't really get to do it also, the one it's like other thing and things, but I fucking still be around the guys. I can still help. Hey, I got this business coming out. I've got this thing going on. I'll come on my show, plug it. Fucking we'll do some social media. I'm little fish right now, but I won't be forever. Fucking
So,
having a guy hit me up in the comments on fucking YouTube on my show.
right.
So what what are you doing now though?
So, being an Echo, I got trained up on all things electronic, right? I'm a fucking master of none, and
Well, that was then. All that technology's gone and
I
dead.
know that's the problem. But when I was there, I got trained up on a system in the Philippines. Um, and so when I first got out active duty, I was doing a contract overseas in Afghanistan as a route clearance, working with EOD and route clearance patrols, flying drones, looking for IEDs and things like that. Did that a couple trips. Got tired of being deployed because basically from '06 to 13, I was gone at least half a year every year. And I was getting to that age where I was like, I'm tired of being gone all the time. I want a family someday. Like, this isn't the life for me anymore. And so when I got out of the guard, that was around the same time as that last contract. I was at the Pac-10 basketball tournament in Las Vegas, and I get a phone call from Kelly, my 25 series dude. And I'm drunkard and shit. I'm just walking around the strip like a dumbass, and I see him. I remember talking to him on the phone, but I don't really remember the conversation. And so I called him back the next morning or whatever when I woke up, and I was like, "What the fuck did we talk about?" And he goes, "Oh, the zombie position, that group is opened up. If you want to apply." I was like, "All right, cool." Applied, got the job within like 3 days. I had the job. I was like, "All right, cool." So I did that for 10 years. I got tired of working at a desk. I mean, I like being in a group. I like being around the guys. A lot of my peers are in senior leadership positions now at this point. Their team sergeants, their sergeant majors, and so it was good. And then just randomly on a Facebook post, I'm in one of those SF pages on Facebook. I see a guy posted, "Hey, do I know anybody who knows how to fly drones?" I was like, "I do." What do you got? And he starts talking about this job that I currently have, and it's counter drone. Like I am helping train the current military on how to react and hopefully mitigate drone warfare. Um, Without getting into too much detail, that's basically what it is. Like, you see the videos in Ukraine, that's what I do, but on our level, to make sure that our troops are more prepared for what could eventually come.
How fast is that space evolving?
Too fast, way too fast. Like, we're behind the power curve. It's the same thing like IEDs and early GWAT. We know what's out there, but the processes and red tape that we have in place as a military are holding us back. I mean, even on the soft side, like, we work a lot with special operations, all the branches, and the things that we would like to do, that we have the knowledge to do, that we have the capability to do, we either can't get the funding, can't get the risk management, can't get the airspace. There's always a fucking red tape, and it's frustrating because all we want to do is help troops, right? We want to make sure that everybody comes home when they go somewhere, you know, and we got guys all over the world doing this shit, uh, and a lot of the counter systems that are in place or that are being built, we also help test those. I don't know if you ever heard of Andrel. It's a counter system. There's a few guys from group that work for them. But we go out, we'll fly against their systems. Andrew's just one to name. Like there's a million of them out there, and all the stuff that's coming out of the Ukraine, coming out of Gaza, Africa, all these places, the Houthis, all these other state actors that are out there doing this are evolving the war space at a rate that we just can't keep up. I guess. I mean, we can, but they'd have to take the reins off.
Do
They'd
you
have to
mean
allow
by
us to do a lot.
reins like FAA regulations?
Yes, letting us do what we need to do stateside within reason, obviously. Like we're not going to fly a drone across the country to, but when we're at NTC, and there's nothing around us, do we really need XYZ approval? Now, there's also other things going into that, because a lot of stuff that we use is commercial off the shelf. Well, guess who makes a lot of that shit? China. So
90% of it or something like that,
right.
right?
So we have to be careful in what we use with that, and where we fly those without certain mitigation things in place. So
Well, unpopular opinion for some, depends on if you're Ukrainian or not. The government seems to be doing a fine job of funneling money into Ukraine to get on the ground lessons learned without really sacrificing U.S. troops on the ground. They're just getting video and tactics, techniques, and procedures. And all we got to do is pay some money and nobody's dying.
shit, all you got to do is open up fucking Instagram and you'll see it.
Yeah.
I mean, like 90% of the stuff, the intel that we get is open source based off, just coming out of social medias. And
Well, that's fun. I mean, but that's we're pouring our funds into that. Getting these videos that are coming on Instagram, we're backside paying for all this shit. And they're only getting away with it because there's no U.S. soldiers dying on the ground over there. So we're just funding our own research. Fuck, that ain't us. No, that's not us.
Yeah.
Absolutely, that's us. Shut the fuck up. We know what you're doing.
Right.
Just because PsyOps didn't make the PT test memo doesn't mean they're not working over there. Or
Yeah, I
maybe
mean,
that's
some of the
just
shit that's coming out over there is scary, man. Like, I mean, it's not just air, it's ground, it's water, it's just UXS, unmanned crafts, like, and, unmanned warfare, it's common, like, I don't know. It's terrifying is what it is. I'm glad I'm not in right now because it's a terrifying aspect.
yeah. I I I've more evolved in like a say la vie attitude. Like we're fucked. We're so fucked. Like there's nothing gonna stop a million little drones or something like that in
Yeah.
different areas and things. Like the things have evolved way past um, leadership's ability to comprehend a decision at this point, because the technology that's out, children are able to understand it and they're growing
My
up with
kids
it.
can
And
do it.
we're past the generation of being able to comprehend what technology can do. People are scared of fucking Chat GPT. Like, oh, it can only do these certain things. That's not fucking true.
Right.
It can do
A lot.
fucking everything, everything. It'll figure out a way to do it. So,
Yep.
but whatever.
Yeah.
You don't
No,
want to scare people.
there's a lot of scary shit out there. And I just think that
I think there's so much scary shit that I'm past the point. I don't worry about it. Like I don't.
right.
Okay, yeah, we're all dead. Like anything
China's
kicks
gonna
off,
get our information. They already have our information.
they already got all that shit.
Yeah.
There's
They
so
already know.
it's so bad. Like people get worrying about the shit in the news. Oh no, it's over, people. You're already fucking dead.
Right. TikTok's gonna ruin everything. No.
No.
No, it's not.
Mm-mm.
Turns out.
Do I have it? No, I don't have it on my phone. It's just and my pseudonym, which is my first name and my middle name, keeps me separate from the real person that I am.
Right.
They don't know who I am. I'm fucking hidden here. They'll never figure that shit
They'll
out.
never. I've outsmarted them. Yeah. No, I got you. And I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, I think about it, you know, it's like I'll be 45 in a month and like I've got a 4 and a 5-year-old at home. Like I hope I can be around long enough that if shit does hit the fan, I can at least help them. You know? and set them up for success.
Yeah, maybe,
Yeah,
or maybe nothing will happen.
sure. And that's the best
Nothing to
case
worry about.
scenario. Yeah.
That's the best case is we don't all die in a horrible, horrible fallout.
Right. And I'm
Um,
close to DC, so I'm fucked. I mean, I'm an hour and a half away from DC, so like
yeah, there is a power plant up the road here. I guess I don't know. I got the lake. I got plenty of water.
yeah, perfect.
So what's next, man? You're just gonna live your best life,
I'm trying,
knocking
man.
drones out of the sky and
Yeah.
smoking some pork butts.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Gotta smoke the meat, man. I finally got a new smoker. So I I'm actually a certified barbecue judge. From the
What? I didn't
yeah.
expect you to say that.
Yeah. So yeah,
You throw
random
that
fact.
like I used to be a Green Beret, but did you know I'm a
Did you know?
certified barbecue judge? All right, now I
I
got to
mean,
know because I never heard this before. Take me through this process.
right. So it all started with a beer and some buddies. We were sitting around. It's my best friend from college. This is after I got out of the military, and his uncle actually does competition smoking. Like he goes to competitions and does all that. And his uncle's like, "Hey man, you guys should be judges." Well, how the fuck do we do that? He goes, "You just sign up for it." I'm like, "Wait, what?" And turns out the Pacific Northwest Barbecue Association has classes run throughout the year, 4 or 5 classes, whatever. And you take a Saturday, you go up and there's some in Yakima, there was some up north in Bainbridge Island or something like that. And you go up there and you sit through like 4 or 5 hours of PowerPoint on what a proper presentation and different cuts and this, that, and all that looks like. And then you do like 4 or 5 hours of actually while you're doing the PowerPoint, they're out there actually smoking meats and getting stuff ready, and then they bring in platters and you judge them. Now the meat's fine, it all tastes good, but it's stupid little shit like did they pour barbecue sauce on it after they cooked it? Because you can't have a saucy meat; it's got to be cooked in. Or did they cut the brisket against the grain versus with the grain? And just you're judging it. It still tastes good, still tastes great, and you get done and you get handed a little fucking card that says you're ominous dominus. Now you're a goddamn barbecue judge.
Do you have a
And
card in your wallet that says I'm a
I,
barbecue
I don't
judge?
know where it's at. It's in, we moved out to Maryland a couple years ago and there's shit in boxes all over still. So, but I do have one. I do have a card that says Pacific Northwest Barbecue Judge and it says fucking noob on it. It's,
I'm gonna
and
put that on the episode release that you're a Pacific Northwest barbecue certified barbecue judge, Green
did you
Beret.
know that it is the second oldest barbecue association in the country behind, Kansas City?
I would hope it'd be somewhere like Memphis or Kansas
Right.
City or something.
You would think, yeah, Texas, Memphis. No, it's the Pacific Northwest. It's the second oldest barbecue association. I'm like, fun little fact.
That's living the dream, man. I
Yeah.
mean, Green Beret, counter drone, barbecue.
Barbecue. Can't go wrong with smoked meat, man.
Well, you can.
If you do it wrong. I've had some bad smoked meats before.
Yeah, I mean, a $6,000 smoker and some pellets later, and then you still don't know what you're doing.
No, and I've seen it. I've seen that. It's sad. And I mean, because if you fuck up a pellet smoker, you're doing it wrong. Like those are it's the stick burners. If you fuck up stick burner, I get that because you gotta actually like sit there and babysit the fire and keep it at a certain temperature. These new grills, man, these new smokers, I mean, I got an app on my phone. Like I throw the meat in, I fill the hopper with pellets, and I go to bed. Like
It's crazy. And yeah, if you want to know how far technology's gone, just start digging into any subject and go. And because I got into it one night, because I went to the store and I was like, fuck, this thing's got a computer attached to it. So you start Googling stuff. The thermometer's connected to the satellite and that's connected to your phone across the country. So you can be on a flight smoking your brisket and say like, oh, I got to adjust the temperature on my grill so it'll slow down the speed of the fan. But it's also the fucking signals are going to space, people. You can Bluetooth a fucking brisket. All you got to do is set the damn thing in there and it'll cook it. So if you think you know anything about technology, just start digging into any subject and you'll realize how fucking far in the past you are.
absolutely.
Like people are like, how do you do the podcast and you're editing the episodes? I was like, the software does everything for me. I'm fucking idiot. Like You think I know how to take a file and put it into any type of software and make a product out of it? No, it's all in the one package. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to do the fucking show because I don't even know how to use my fucking computer.
Exactly.
I can't even
Yep.
get the little thing to stop popping up. Your antivirus has expired. I don't even know what antivirus is. God damn it.
That's probably a virus, actually.
Shit. Oh, that's not good. I need a new computer then, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, fuck, man. I really am happy that you hit up comments. Oh, the last story we wanted to jump. I wanted to
Yeah.
jump
Okay.
into that before we go to the 5 questions. Um, so before we start recording, I start telling you my story, and you're like, "I know who you are." About. So what happened? Because I said, I got hurt in the ocean. Blah blah blah. I blame my team sergeant and all this other stuff. Very, very sad. Cry me a river, right? But then you go, "I know who you are." Like, what? How did that come to be?
I was just sitting in my office, and I think it was either your echo or another echo in the company came up to get some SOPC gear re-imaged or something, and they told me about the horror story of their trip down to fucking Oregon and how just awful it went. And I they told me about a guy that didn't name any names, but they had told me about one of the guys getting fucking damn near killed out in the ocean, and that didn't go well.
It didn't go well.
Yeah,
I
it didn't
love
go
to
well.
I love to hear that. Even though it's me and I get a check on the first of every month now and I'm scared of the ocean. But other than that, I'm doing just great. Oh, and I don't get to be a Green Beret in uniform anymore. I get to be a Green Beret in civilian life.
Sure.
Um the only good thing that day or that time that came out of me getting hurt was if I wouldn't have got hurt, we'd have gone out there in the fucking dark and done it.
Ugh.
At night, we would have gone out and done it in the fucking dark.
And it probably would have been even worse.
That 2 to 3 miles out offshore,
Yeah.
like no experience. Like that's the only like I'm glad that went that route because it could have been so much worse. And
And you never made it to dive school, right?
I think I was supposed to go to pre-dive on Monday, which I couldn't even do. I couldn't even fucking swim. Like
Jeez.
I could like swim, but
Uh,
not a pre-dive swim. I was
yeah.
going to die.
Yeah.
I had done one pool PT. Now, if you're at home and you're a diver and you're like, suck it up, fuck you. First off, I get it. You can train to be a diver. Yeah, you got to actually fucking train to do it. There was no way I was passing that shit. I've been
I had
training
no
for a
desire to go
year.
to dive school.
I've been training for a fucking year at the YMCA, and I can just now pass the events. You think I was going to be able to fucking do it then? Um,
Yeah. No,
so
if that was a school that said, "Hey, Sean, hey, you're going to dive school," I'd been like, "Fuck, I guess I'm gone." But I wasn't gonna raise my hand for it at all. Like that was,
yeah,
and I'm a rock in the pool too. Like I'm
let me
terrible.
get these 3 shallow water blackouts out of the way so I can get dropped from this course because I ain't gonna quit. So I'm just gonna go in there and exhale and then fucking pass out. That's what I'm gonna do.
Nope.
I ain't
Yeah. No.
quitting. I'm just gonna go die, I guess.
Nope.
All jokes, everybody. Hey man, I got 5 questions I ask everybody, and then
Uh,
I'll cut you loose.
Sweet.
What is your response to thank you for your service?
Usually, thank you. Like I, I most people, it comes from a good place. I, I'm not going to be one of those people that, oh, well, fuck you. I don't get mad about it. There's bigger fish to fry. You know, I if somebody thanks me for my service, well, thank you. Like I appreciate that, and move on with my day. Like I don't dwell on it, but and it does kind of when I see people that get upset about that, I'm like, okay, yeah, we'll hurt you, but yeah, that's
More of a you problem at that point.
yeah, yeah.
Um, and you've been out for a while, so you've got
Mhm.
a polished answer.
Yeah.
When I talk to guys that have just gotten out, they go, "Ooh, fuck." People are going to ask me that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're going to fucking say that to
I
you.
had
Oh,
somebody tell me today. I took my bike in to get service, and I got Purple Heart plates. The guy said, "Oh, thank you for service." Well, thank you. Yeah,
as you should have
yeah,
Purple Heart plates. People brag on people for having. There's a bunch of different plates you can get, right?
sure.
I'm like, fucking get that shit. If it gets you
Yeah,
out of a ticket, why not have that?
and it has.
Who fucking cares? Oh, this person's got their bronze star plate. Who gives a shit? I, fuck, if I could have a plate that gave me a .1 chance greater of getting out of a ticket, I'd get that plate too.
Yeah. I got pulled over coming in Eastgate on Fort Lewis one day. I was hauling ass down that back road there. And Pete pulls me over and he's like, he came up, what do you say? He came up the window and he's like, he goes, I don't know what you did during that plate, but he goes, I want to slow it down. So, you know, you made it home from that one. I want you to come home from the rest of them. Like, okay. Yeah.
You're going 4 miles an hour over the speed limit.
I was doing like 70.
Oh, okay.
I was moving.
It wasn't one of those on post ones. It was because you've been arrested if you're doing that
on post. But
oh, okay.
I mean, when he clocked me, I was doing like 50 or 60 and a 35. So
I ran across local guy here, Medal of Honor plates. I ran that motherfucker down, stopped him. I had a coin in my pocket.
yeah.
I was like, I want a Medal of Honor coin. I coin checked him. I gave him my coin out of my wallet, first group coin, and he gave me a Medal of Honor coin. And I was like, fuck, when am I ever going to see you ever again? Possibly, you know?
Right.
Yeah. Nicest dude.
Get a hold of Earl.
Hey, if he'd come on my show, like I said, if you're listening to this, you got a Medal of Honor, I'd love to have you on a show. That's the thing about, lesser known operators. Obviously, most of my guests are going to be, but even if you are like an influencer and stuff, most people have never heard of you and things like that. So
yeah, weird, right? But, you're not as cool as you think you are.
I know I'm not cool. And I'm only funny in the reels. So Perfect. You got to know your limitations. Absolutely. What's the one characteristic that sets operators apart from the conventional forces?
I'd say probably the ability to think outside the box, the ability to not when shit hits the fan, there's a plan even if there's not a plan. Like if something were to happen right now, like, I would figure something out to get me out of whatever situation I'm in. And I feel like, you get around it coming from an x-ray perspective, I never had that big army experience, but like, it feels like a lot of the big army, big military complex, you're trained to do as you're told, and that's it. Like, you wait for somebody else to tell you what to do, because if you do what you want to do, you're going to get in trouble. And I think if you, in the soft environment, it's you might still get in trouble, but as long as you can validate why you did what you did, you're not going to get in as much trouble. Maybe. Depends on what you did, I suppose.
Ask for forgiveness, right?
Sure. Absolutely. I'm a big proponent of that.
Unless you're definitely going to jail, then you flee the country.
Right. Go to Thailand.
What's the one moment of your career that you wish you could go back and relive or redo?
Relive or redo.
Won't change where you are right now.
Oh, I don't know. That's a good one. Like and change what I did, or just live it again?
You can, yeah, you can change. Some guys went back and they would have changed the way they did things, and it wouldn't have changed the outcome, but they would have done things differently, or they would have. It's take the question however you want it, but it won't change where you are now.
I don't know if I would change anything. I had a great time in Thailand. That was a fun JSET. We were down there training the Thai border patrol, down real close to the Malaysian border down there.
Oh, down south?
Yeah. Yeah,
nice.
we were as far south as you could get without needing more than a 2-star approval. So we had the 2-star approve it, but
little known fact, we've talked about the Philippines, but there was some fucking bad shit going on in southern Thailand. Yes. Still kind of
is, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Malaysia Thailand border. That one's there's a pretty big DMZ there. Or not DMZ, disputed border, I should say. But yeah, that was a really fun trip. That was kind of my last hurrah when I was in group. And it was kind of the last guys from the team that we had in the Philippines. It was about 60% of those dudes. The rest had either gotten out or gone to like SWIC. And so we still had real good team cohesion, and it was a really good time. We had a lot of fun. You know, we got to do some pretty cool shit. Um, and yeah, like we were told they were all going to have 38s. None of them had 38s, so we had to get rid of 38 ammo. And an expat living over there that worked with the government. Um, his wife was friends with a police general in Phuket, and every single one of his service members had 38s, and most of which had not been to a range in years. And so this police general put us up in a fucking 5-star hotel for the weekend in Phuket and fed us, wined us, dined us. All we had to do was bring the ammo and train his guys on some shooting for a weekend. Take one of our weekends that we would normally have off and go train. No brainer.
Dream scenario.
Yeah, it was great. And so yeah, we went through like 30,000 rounds of 38 and initiated the new captain we had in right. Yeah, he showed up halfway through the rotation because he just had a kid, and I found him walking down the street by himself, and oof. I got him back to the hotel, but
You're picking people off the beach in the morning going,
yes,
we gotta go, guys.
gotta
We
get
got
in the van.
movement. You gotta get in the van.
Get in the van. Yeah, yeah. He didn't make the first movement, and 8 o'clock, or whatever. And our Charlie goes upstairs and comes back down, just laughing his ass off. He's like, "It looks like an exorcism happened. There's puke all over the room. He's on his front porch in his underwear. Like, oh my god." I was like, "I got him back to the hotel. I know he's here.
He's got to be here." Yeah.
Yeah.
For everybody listening at home, there's some pretty cool ones, but to do the SF guy thing in Phuket and then go party with everybody afterward.
Oh yeah.
Fucking
with the general of the police department, like the dude knows everybody.
You're not getting in trouble.
Nope. No. We had run of that town for that weekend. It was great. So yeah, I'd probably do that again.
What was the best piece of advice that you received during your career?
Honesty. Just be honest with whatever it is, you know. I guess choosing the hard right over the easy wrong would be the best way to put that. It's gonna suck. It's gonna be a pain in the ass. It might not be fun, but if it's the right thing to do the hard right over the easy wrong every time.
It'll get you farther.
Yes.
All right, man. Last one. What were you afraid of then, and what are you afraid of now?
Failure, really, for both of them. I mean, it's not knowing coming in to what I was getting myself into, knowing that if I failed, I was getting pushed off to something that I really didn't want to do necessarily. And then, even after getting to group, you fail, you get, you can get your tab taken. You can get kicked out of group. You can, or failing and somebody dies, because the fuck that could happen. And then now failure, like, just, I've got a family now. Like, I want to make sure that they're set up for success. I want to make sure that, everything I'm doing is the right thing for them. So I'm not fucking that up.
It sounds like you're well on your way, man, and you're doing great. I'm glad we found each other in the comments, and I appreciate you coming on the show. You got anything for me?
No, I think that was good. I'm glad I caught that real. That was good.
The algorithm got you.
Absolutely.
Well, bye, everybody.